All right. What's up, everybody? We're in here. 49ers lose 26-15 was the final score. Didn't feel that close to me. Did not feel like an 11-point game to me. I thought the 49ers were pretty thoroughly beaten on both sides of the ball. So instead of trying to get our arms all around this game at once, I want to start on one side of the ball, and I want to start defensively, where the Texans entered Sunday's game 31st in the NFL in third down conversion rate. They were at 30.7%. I don't know what the final tally ended up being, because I think the Niners, they got to stop late in the game. I think it was 9 of 14.
9 of 16.
9 of 16. They punted twice, and 4 of the stops led to field goals. The other one, they converted a fourth down immediately after it. It was just not an effective game for the 49ers defense. And my question for you, Chris, is did we find the breaking point for the 49ers from a talent perspective? Like, coaching and scheme matter so much, and we talk about that a lot. But I think at some point, you have to have players. You have to have guys who can win one-on-one matchups, and I don't think the 49ers had enough of those guys on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, you and I had talked weeks ago about the sustainability of them winning games without so many key players on both sides of the ball. And today, it just felt like the sustainability models just came all the way back and hit the 49ers in the face with it. And that's not to use injuries as an excuse or anything like that, because we've seen them play a hell of a lot better than they did today.
No doubt.
But at some point, like, it's going to come back when you don't have Fred. It's going to come back on you when you don't have Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. On top of all, and Bryce Huff, ended up being a big absence in this game. And CJ Stroud just never felt like he was made uncomfortable. He wasn't hit. He wasn't pressured very often. He was able to get the ball out quickly. There wasn't the tying together of coverage and pass rush, which, I think has been sort of an underrated staple of the 49ers defenses under Robert Saleh. When they're cooking, it's generally like the pressure comes and then the coverage is tied so closely to that it's really hard to just consistently complete passes against the 49ers defense in a way that's effective. And there was just no pass rush. Coverage wasn't great on the back end. Malik Mustafa seemed like this was his worst game since coming back. It wasn't a great game for really anybody on the defensive side. It wasn't a great Tatum Bethune game. It didn't feel like they could stop the run on early downs, and even when the Texans would have a penalty or there'd be a second and long, then there would be a big chunk play. Not a chunk play, but at least, a play that would set up third and manageable. There were not enough third and longs, and I don't even know if that would have mattered given how anemic the pass rush was today. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, this isn't horribly surprising. Like, I think this is, given all of the injuries on defense, I think one of these games was bound to happen, particularly on the road, because, it's easier to feed off the home crowd, right? It's easier for Fred Warner to hype up the crowd from the suite when he's injured, and there be all this energy for a Sunday night game at home and all of that. When you go to a Texans stadium that's in Houston that has a ton of empty seats, and the Texans are 2-4, and it's, a 10 a.m. start. It's like, and again, not an excuse, but
they played like shit.
They played like shit. Yeah. And the energy level isn't going to be the same. And that was very clear. So that's the challenge of the NFL schedule, is can you bring the energy that you need to have week in and week out? And the 49ers clearly didn't have it today. And that showed up defensively. And we'll talk about the offense later. I blame the offense for this game more so than the defense. The defense obviously was really problematic, but I don't know, a young team, tons of injuries. At some point, we knew it was going to catch up with them. I didn't really anticipate it catching up with them today because of how well they've played recently, but I'm not terribly surprised either.
I am not surprised that they didn't give up 10 points like they did against the Falcons. I'm surprised at just how thoroughly awful they were. And you're right. This is not we'll get to the offense momentarily when we can talk about thoroughly awful, but I did not expect Houston to score every single time they had the football, save for the end of first half drive and a punt when the game was mostly out of hand. I mean, that was about as bad as they could have played, and that I did not necessarily anticipate. Whether it was 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 12, they run a blitz. CJ Stroud scrambles for a first down. They run a blitz and there's somebody wide open in his zone. They don't run a blitz and there's somebody wide open. Like it just, they had no answers. And even when they'd get Houston behind the sticks, you said it, 2nd and 12 turned into 3rd and 5, and you just can't. I don't mind the performance from a. Like it's not like Sam Okuwanu has to be better. Like it's not that, but I do think at some point, like schematically, they have to do something different, or at some point somebody just has to win a one-on-one matchup. And we heard all week about how John McClain, not John McClain, yeah, guy that John McClain, yeah, isn't that the guy from isn't that? Yeah, but isn't that Bruce Willis's character in Die Hard? Isn't it John McClane?
I think so.
Okay. Anyways,
it's been a while.
I think it's John. I think it's John. But no, he said on 95.7 The Game, a radio station out here in San Francisco. He was like, they could have Fred Warner and Nick Bosa out there on one leg and they'd still generate a pass rush. The fact that they had nothing today, they had nil from a pass rush perspective. I mean, that's embarrassing. They didn't have it from a schematic standpoint. They didn't have it from a talent standpoint. And the reason this is such a big deal for me, and I'm with you. There's early game and you don't have the energy or whatever. I get it, but like they never at any point exposed the worst parts of the Texans offense. And Houston was down to like 4th and 5th and 6th string receivers, and they were just open all day. Like, there's a really, really serious talent issue on the 49ers defense, and Robert Saleh can only cover that up for so long. And maybe I'm at the NFL week-to-week league, I know, and maybe they go to New York next week and they hold New York to 13 points and they look great and the conversation's different. But right now, I have a hard time looking at the 49ers defense and going, oh, here's how they're going to be better next week. Because it feels like the energy of, okay, we're going to rally around the Fred Warner injury. I feel like they're just kind of worn off. And now they're on a flight home after getting dog-walked by one of the worst offenses in the sport. And they're looking around at each other going, oh, like maybe we're not good. And that could be a problem.
I think a huge problem the defense had, and this is partly self-inflicted on their part with their inability to get off the field. But when the offense opens the game with 3 straight 3-and-outs and the defense has to be on the field for 3-4 straight long possessions and getting no breather and no help from the offense with, them sustaining any time of possession, I think that's as big of an issue as anything. Like the 49ers were playing from behind the entire game. Mm-hmm. And the one thing, like if you're playing the Texans and they're a bad offensive line and a bad pass protecting offensive line, you dictate the situation of the game by getting out to a lead, mm-hmm. by forcing them to throw instead of the Texans dictating things to you when they're playing with the lead. So when you go 3-and-out on the first 3 possessions of the game and you force your young, injury depleted defense, it just makes the level of difficulty that much harder. Right. And so again, I'm not disagreeing with anything that you're saying, but I think this game goes dramatically different if instead of going 3-and-out the first 3 possessions, the 49ers offense sustains some possession, and then whether they score points or not, if they have an 8-play drive, 9-play drive, whatever, string
mm-hmm.
together first downs and do what the Texans did, I think the game looked dramatically different because you don't have your defense gassed really from the jump. Not a disadvantage from that standpoint from the jump. And the 49ers are so injury depleted. There's such a talent deficiency that they just cannot afford to also be gassed. They can't afford to be on the field for as long as they were. And again, like I think the game goes dramatically different if the plays are close. Like the Texans ran 75 offensive plays today. The 49ers ran 44.
brutal, dude.
You just can. There's no scenario where you win a game that way.
Nope.
Even if you get a bunch of turnovers, it's really hard to win a game where you run 31 fewer plays than the opponent. So again, that's not making an excuse for the defense. That's not saying that they would have won or if the offense played better. I just think this was definitely one of those games where the offense being as bad as it was hurt the defense, which couldn't help itself. Like the defense wasn't helping itself, and the offense certainly wasn't helping the defense either. So for the 49ers to win, and we said this, we've said this really since Nick Bosa got hurt, the 49ers offense was going to have to get better because the defense just wasn't going to be a top 5 unit. We thought there was potential early on that this would be a top 5, top 10 defense with Robert Saleh back, with the talent, with the infrastructure, all of those things. Well, you lose your best 2 defensive players and you're going to give up 26 points. Like that's a pretty regular thing to have happen, particularly on the road. We said the 49ers offense was going to need to score 30 pretty consistently, and they were nowhere near that today.
No.
So
halfway there, according to my math.
The defense was bad, but I think at this point we should expect the defense to be bad, or at least not top 10. And I think maybe at home they'll play at a higher level when they can feed off the crowd. When third down is the teams have to go to a silent count and you can get a better jump off the snap. Those types of things really help you when you play at home. But when you play on the road, like the offense is going to have to travel. The offense is going to have to carry the water for this team, given the injuries to the defense, and the offense just didn't do that today. And again, defense was nowhere near good enough, but they didn't get any help from the offensive side, and that's ultimately why the game felt like a blowout.
I said on the show Thursday on our preview show that I didn't have any feel for how this game was going to go. Kyle Shanahan coached it like he didn't have any feel for how the game was going to go either. Christian McCaffrey loses a yard on the first play. Illegal formation there in 1st and 15. McCaffrey gets 6 yards on the next play. Defensive offsides, I think, was a penalty. There's a 5-yard penalty. And they get back to a 1st and 10. Mac Jones scrambles for 13 yards. Face mask on Jawan Jennings. Niners have 1st and 12. Pass, punt. Like what? And then there was another drive later in the game where McCaffrey goes for 7 on 1st down and then pass, punt. Like I don't understand why in this game in particular Shanahan off the rip, because they went down 3-0 and then 6-0. And then was it 13-0?
Yeah, I believe so.
Like they abandoned the run like they were down 30. And I just don't think that Kyle Shanahan had a great idea of what he wanted to do. And the Texans defense is very good. Like don't get it twisted. The Texans defense just kind of dominated. Their defensive line was in the backfield every time the Niners dropped back, but the Niners gave them nothing to think about. The straight drop back game with Mac Jones is not it, man. At least not with a banged up Jawan Jennings running around and DeMarcus Robinson, who can't even line up right, and Sky Moore and George Kittle. Like it just, I don't think that Kyle Shanahan. This was one of the worst games Kyle Shanahan has coached in a while, and I just felt like he exacerbated some of the issues that Houston presented by not doing anything creative or different or anything outside of like, Mac, save us. And that's an insane plan with this offensive line against that defensive line.
They had 39 rushing attempts last week against Atlanta. They had 10 today, and 2 of them were Mac Jones scrambles. So they had 8 running plays, all of which went to Christian McCaffrey. But we talk all the time about Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers needing to run the ball to dictate to opposing defenses what the game is going to be like. And there was no dictating by Kyle Shanahan through his play calling. Nope. It was all sort of reacting to like they gave up a field goal on the opening possession, which felt like a win. And honestly, field goals on 3 of the first 4 possessions, it felt like, all right, the Niners can stay in this game. And ultimately those field goals are why it wasn't a complete blowout. The Niners easily could have, lost 40-15. But Kyle Shanahan not sticking with the run early, I think was problematic. And, I don't know if the Texans were maybe doing things pre-snap to, take the 49ers away from that. And Kyle Shanahan was saying, all right, if you're going to play the run or overplay the run, then we're going to try throwing on you. And it clearly didn't work, whatever the plan was. But to me, they had to run the ball more. And that has a lot to do with the defense, being gassed and constantly being on the field. Like time of possession, Jesus Christ, time of possession 41-22 to 18-38. More than double. It's not going to get it done. It's not going to get it done. And they couldn't sustain drives in part because the running game never got going. 8 carries for 25 yards for CMC with a long of 9. So the formula for the 49ers has to be run the ball, particularly opposite this defense that is just not going to be as effective without Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. So you can control some of the tempo of the game. There's no world where the 49ers are winning road games where they don't run the ball well, particularly with Mac Jones at quarterback. So they have to run the ball well. They have to commit to the running game. And 8 rushing attempts for Christian McCaffrey, 8 real running plays is just not going to be enough. And yeah, I'm with you. Like Kyle Shanahan, the game plan was bad. This was not a good Kyle Shanahan game, particularly on the back of last week against Atlanta when they run the ball 39 times. And the big story of the game is like, wow, the running game finally got going. And there was none of that today. And even when you're down 6-0, Kyle Shanahan's calling plays like, again, you didn't get any first downs, so there's no way to fully know about what the game plan is when you're just off the field after 3 plays.
Right.
But not even if you wanted to call more running plays, the running plays that you called weren't effective enough to allow you to stay on the field. And that's a huge problem because if the 49ers are going to win road games against good defenses, they have to be able to run the ball when they're playing a backup quarterback.
Yep. And it comes down to, I struggle with this because I understand the argument that people make. Like you have Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle, just force feed them. Who cares? Just throw them the ball. And I get why that's I get the argument, right? You watch the Bengals beat the Steelers because Jamar Chase got 23 targets. And it's like, yeah, just throw your best players the ball every single time. But I also subscribe to the idea that, like, man, you also have guys on your roster. You got to trust them to make a play. Like, you can give Sky Moore like a jet sweep just to do something different. Not even saying that would work. I have no idea. Like, history would tell us that a Sky Moore jet sweep is not going to work. But, like, try it. Do something. Like, they finally did something creative. It was that weird, like, backwards pass to McCaffrey that lost a bunch of yards. And they did that way too late. Like, it felt like Kyle Shanahan coached that game. I say this all the time about how Kyle Shanahan coaches, and I've said it for many years, and I'll continue to say it until he does something different. He coaches football games like a pissed off Madden player. Like, his offense wasn't working early, so after the 3rd drive, he just said, fuck it. And just was like, here, whatever. I don't care anymore. And that's disappointing. Like, you have Jordan Watkins, who I know the Texans spent all week game planning for, but like, get the guy a touch or 2 early in the game, Get George Kittle. You called a George Kittle touchdown on like an end around. Like, do something fun like that. Do something different. Like, just it might lose a couple of yards, but give Houston something to think about that isn't just, pin your ears back and go sack Mac Jones, who is just I know there was so much discourse about Mac Jones, the athlete or non-athlete, going into the draft, and holy shit, does it show in games like today. Like, cool, the scramble stuff is fine. It's not like he's completely immobile, but the inability to move around the pocket and not fall down the second he's touched is just baffling. And it's the biggest reason that I think the 49ers need to get Brock Purdy back under center, because Mac Jones, when the pocket starts to get messy, has nothing. And that's a problem.
I agree with that. I think another failing for Kyle Shanahan today was, I think one of his strengths as a play caller in the past, particularly, when the offensive line has been banged up, it's been, Kyle Shanahan can scheme around pass rush because he can do so much to keep defenses off balance. And, we've seen him take Aaron Donald out of games with, patchwork offensive lines. We've seen like when Justin School has to start against Myles Garrett in 2019, like you go into that game, you're like, man, Myles Garrett's going to have 6 sacks and he might single-handedly win the game for the Browns. And then the game happens, and it's like Myles Garrett is nowhere to be seen because Kyle Shanahan just has his head spinning and he's doing so many unique things schematically that it's completely negating the pass rush and preventing Myles Garrett from pinning his ears back. There was no doing that with Will Anderson today.
Nope.
Will Anderson completely dominated the game. He completely ruined the 49ers offensively. And I think a large part of that was because they were in predictable situations. And maybe that's because, a lot of it goes back to the running game. I think they didn't establish the running game, and being unable to do that is really forces your offense to play left-handed almost. But it was just Will Anderson just had his ears pinned back the entire time and just knew, I can get to Mac Jones. I can bother Mac Jones because I can beat Colton McKivitz like a drum over and over and over again. And once I get there, Mac Jones is not going to be able to play well in a muddy pocket. He's going to bring his eyes down occasionally. He's already been banged up a bunch of different ways this year. It was very clear that the 49ers had no answer for Will Anderson. And that to me is as disappointing, I think, as anything when you look at this game from evaluating Kyle Shanahan, because he's been so good at negating pass rushers in the past. And there was none of that today. There was no Will Anderson just never felt like, okay, I have to react to what's going on. It was no, Will Anderson's just getting upfield. He's beating Colton McKivitz, and he's going to ruin the game for Mac Jones.
Yep. And that was kind of the story of it. Every single time it looked like the 49ers were trying to run some kind of play that was going to be a downfield pass, the second Mac Jones got to the top of his drop, there was a pass rusher or an offensive lineman in his lap. And I'm not, honestly, given the circumstances, I didn't think Mac Jones was necessarily bad today. The interception, you need a quick score there. You take a shot at the end zone, gets intercepted, tough. Not a great throw, but like I said, overall, I thought he was mostly fine. But this is he is still as effective as he's been in winning games. He's still a backup quarterback. And I just don't think the 49ers put him in a great position to succeed today. And I don't think that the coaching staff did a great job really on either side of the ball. I just thought it was just kind of a letdown all the way across, except for our guy Brant Boyer. 49ers special teams crushed it today.
We can talk about that in a second. But speaking of being put in positions to succeed,
it's a great transition by you.
Lamb Chops has been putting you and I and everybody else who's ever purchased an item or multiple items of clothing from Lamb Chops in position to succeed, basically in every opportunity. I'm wearing the Candlestick Chronicles hoodie from Lamb Chops right now. My new favorite hoodie. The fall line is out. I got this black sweater. It is it is so nice. It's so warm. The way it fits, it's hard to explain how well it fits, but it's just such a nice sweater. Got a lot of compliments on it from the wife, from other folks when I went to the Sacramento Kings home opener the other night wearing it. This black t-shirt I'm very excited to throw on at some point, maybe today when we go check out Kings Lakers over at Golden One Center. We shall see. But make sure you throw Candlestick into the search bar at sglambchops.com, and you will find the Candlestick Chronicles merch, which has been selling reasonably well, I will say. It's got the Candlestick Chronicles word mark on the back and the Lamb Chops logo. It's got that subtle CC on the front, both the t-shirt and hoodie, same designs. Make sure you check those out. Again, throw Candlestick into the search bar. They'll pop right up. And use promo code Candlestick20. You'll save 20% off your order. They have free shipping on orders over $100. So, peruse the site, buy some things, and you'll come away with a pretty nice discount, I think, if you order from Lamb Chops. So, sglambchops.com. Follow them on social at sglambchops. Lamb Chops, join the herd.
Hell yeah.
Kyle.
Another W for you today? Oh, dang.
No, we came up half a yard short.
Brutal.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Man, I was so close to being right. Christian McCaffrey came up half a yard short of the more than receiving yards. He had 43. The number was 43 and a half. I would have gotten 3 out of 4. Dalton Schultz just coming up. They should call him Dalton Shorts for where he finished for his receiving total. But hit 2 out of 4 on my flex play, so was a little off today. It ended my streak of I think it was 3 straight winning lineups. So CMC, he had 43 yards. That was a miss by me. I hit on the George Kittle touchdown. Dalton Schultz, he had 24 receiving yards. I had 40 and a half. I played more than Nick Chubb. This was easy. I had more than 6.5 receiving yards. He had a whopping 13, doubled that number up. Easy there. But
nice.
2 out of 4 just isn't going to do it on the flex play. I was half a yard or even just a yard from coming up with a W here on this lineup. How'd you do?
Worse than you.
Okay.
It turns out the flex play, if you go 0 for 5, doesn't pay anything. That's tough.
0 for 5.
It's hard to do, bro. I should get something for going 0 for 5. Like, that's really tough to do in a Prize Picks lineup. I was with you on Dalton Schultz on the 40 and a half receiving yards at 24 is not going to cut it. Had more than 5.5 receptions for Schultz. He only had 2. Eddie Pinheiro, more than a field goal and a half, more than 1.5 field goals. Didn't make any. Mac Jones, I had more than 1.5 interceptions. That bastard only threw 1, and just get super mad. And then Mac Jones, longest rush, less than 5.5 yards. Now he scampered for 13 on that opening drive. So 0 for 5. I said I didn't have a feel for the game.
Yeah, that's fair.
That would have been had it not been. Here's how much I like Prize Picks. Had I not been doing this show and not felt obligated to do a 49ers Texans lineup, I would not have done one.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was a stay away for me.
Well, for
actually, I'm just trying to throw the FBI off my scent.
Well, Prize Picks is not gambling. It is daily fantasy, so you do not have to worry about that. But
that's
make sure everyone else download the Prize Picks app today and use code Candlestick to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code Candlestick, like the name of this podcast and this YouTube channel, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
Boy, way better to be right than as wrong as I was this week.
Yeah.
I want to point out this chat real quick from our friend Benali, who salute is in the chat after like every game. 49ers offense and defense let their special teams unit down today. I completely agree. Special teams is rock solid.
It was good. The Niners actually had the edge in special teams today. They got Brian Robinson kickoff return was huge before the end of the first half.
Yep.
It felt like they bottled up the Texans return game pretty well for the most part. It didn't feel like, they were at a massive disadvantage there. So
they did it.
Just
got one face.
Brant Boyers. I mean, just as the season goes, you see this special teams group really rounding into form. Just so impressive. So impressive.
Yeah, the problem is they did give up 4 field goals. That's tough.
Yeah, gotta block something.
Not a great day for the defense when a kicker has 4 field goals and the longest one is 37 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
So
Niners versus Texans. It could have been worse.
You had some thoughts on, do you want to go trades or do you want to go up on Upton?
Yeah, no, well, okay, I don't have let's do the Upton Stout thing real quick. I think he needs to not be starting anymore. It's just really clear that he's not, the game's too fast for him right now. I've been waiting for the improvement, and I know he's a little banged up over the last couple of weeks, but I've been waiting for like that improvement where Upton Stout really steps up. And I know he had a big play, was it in week 3 against the Cardinals, had a big pass breakup, and you just kind of wait for, all right, here's where Stout really starts to kind of assert himself, and you're waiting for that, and it's just not happening. And I think if the 49ers defensive line is going to be this banged up, where they're having such a hard time creating pressure, I think the Niners need to try something different in their secondary. And this is not, and again, it's not all Upton Stout's fault. I just think they don't have a ton of buttons to push. And it's like, all right, well, one of the last buttons they have to push is this one. And given that Chase Lucas has made 2 huge plays for them in games this year, I would at least give him a shot and let Upton Stout have a couple of games, maybe the rest of the season, to see if the game slows down for him a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I don't know. I don't view Chase Lucas as this option that's like going to give you a dramatic upgrade. And
it's not about Chase Lucas. It's about Upton Stout just getting obliterated every single time he's on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to keep him out there and let him take his lumps. And if it's so problematic, then you can pull him. I'm just not there yet, and that's okay. I understand where you're coming from. I just don't want to kill the dude's confidence and have it be a scenario where he has to worry that, like, oh, next time you screw up, you're coming off the field, and then you're not playing fast, you're playing tentative, and that stunts his development because they need him to be good.
Okay, but does getting his ass whooped week in and week out not also stunt his development and hurt his confidence?
Maybe. I mean, he made some plays too. He had the blitz at the end or near the end of the game.
Super.
I mean, like that was a good play where he pressured.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fact that he was able to break down at full speed and not let CJ Stroud run around the corner was nice.
And still make the tackle for, it was a 5-yard loss or whatever on that play on the other side of the field. Like, he does some things where it's like, damn, that's a really nice play. I get you that he's not as good in coverage as maybe you would want, but I still think you're in the developmental phase where it's like you just got to let him take his lumps. And I think that's true for a few of these guys. So yeah, I hear you. I don't think you're necessarily wrong, but if it's me, I think I just don't know if I'm throwing Chase Lucas out there to start over my 3rd round pick, who I obviously have pretty high hopes for. Just yet.
Chase Lucas has all pro hopes though.
Sure does.
So, also just speaking of pushing buttons, the Malik Mustafa Jair Brown safety tandem is not it. Do something other than that. Did not think that
Jair Brown had.
I
think he was one of the best players on defense today.
Yep.
And particularly, I mean, talking about defending the run, there were a couple of really good run fits that he had. Mm-hmm. He's never been a dude who's great in coverage, but it felt like Malik Mustafa was exposed a little bit in coverage today.
Yep.
And
he trails a lot of plays.
He had the deep shot on the corner route, where it seemed like he was maybe late to get over there. Mm-hmm. You had, what was it, a 3rd and long where he overran the play. Mm-hmm. And allowed Texans pass catcher to break inside and get a big first down.
I think it was Dalton Schultz.
Right? You shouldn't get juked out of your shoes by a tight end.
And if you are, at least let him get to 40.5 yards.
Right, exactly. But like, to me, I don't think that I know the numbers were what they were in terms of the way the Marquise Siegel getting targeted. Mm-hmm. And teams were completing passes on him at a high rate, but he was really good in the run game, a really good open field tackler, and just I think plays faster than Malik Mustafa does. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Marquise Siegel deserved to get taken off the field for the way that he was playing early on. And I know you might like Malik Mustafa more long term, and you might say this guy's a starter. But I think today was a clear differentiator between the two players. Like, Siegel hasn't really felt like he's been out of position. Like, really,
I agree.
I don't know. Like, it doesn't feel like he's for rookie safety to be as good in the open field as he's been and not be out of position in coverage and to play as fast as he's played. I think to me it was really, really impressive. And I was honestly pretty surprised that Malik Mustafa just instantly started over him. And if you think Mustafa needs to be in the starting lineup, I think you could make an argument that Siegel probably deserved to be out there more than Jair Brown does. And maybe the best role for Jair Brown is the dime linebacker spot, which they've used him at. So I think it's a miss to not have Siegel on the field. That said, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I know more than Robert Saleh does. but I think something is a little bit weird there. Like they might have overcommitted to Malik Mustafa being a starter when they have a really enticing option already there that didn't necessarily deserve to be taken off the field. And maybe it's just one of those things where you work Mustafa in a little bit more instead of just giving him every single snap, and then you allow Siegel to keep playing and you have more of a true competition that way. I just don't like I don't like just sitting Siegel for Mustafa and having Brown and Mustafa be your starting safeties. I think a better avenue would be Mustafa and Siegel with Brown in that sort of hybrid linebacker
like a Sam
role,
linebacker,
yeah, or Mustafa and Siegel rotating if you think Brown has to be out there every snap.
Yeah, man, and if you think Brown has to be out there every snap, ugh, I guess
that third and one play
okay, then
in the backfield was good.
If that's the case, then Mustafa can be the third linebacker or big nickel or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Like the Jair Brown Malik Mustafa tandem needs to not be a thing anymore. It's not working. It's not a good duo. Can we talk trades real quick?
Sure.
This game took off the table for me a major trade. Like one of those Trey Hendrickson level trades. I think that's off the table. And Trey Hendrickson left Cincinnati's loss to the Jets today with a hip injury. But that takes that off the table for me. What I do think is even more on the table than it has been is multiple smaller trades. And I know we've talked about this before. But it just kind of felt like, okay, hang on, feel it out. Let's see. Well, next week is their final game before the trade deadline. To me, man, you have to go find somebody better than Robert Beal to rush the passer. Like, I'm sorry, the Robert Beal experiment's over. That's not a good NFL player. Salute to him, but it's not going to happen. If they want to be serious, like if they want to A, make the postseason, and B, not be a 10-point dog and getting blown out in the postseason, they have to be able to pressure the quarterback a small amount, like a little bit here and there. Third and long should not be Stroud has all day to throw. Like that cannot be a thing. So to me now, I think I'm going to go this far because I have a microphone in front of my face. It is malpractice. It is irresponsible if they don't go out and make a trade at this point. Like there's no way you can watch what the 49ers did today and go, hey, you know what will make this better? Yetur Gross-Matos. Like, no, it's just not that's not where they're at. Maybe it's Arden Key. Maybe it's pick an edge rusher from a team that doesn't look like they're on their way to the playoffs that could be had for a late round pick or a future mid round pick. Like that needs to be something the 49ers are doing, because if not, it feels like they're just wasting the season on purpose.
Yeah, I agree. I think the NFC West is too good, and you're still in a good position in 5-3 in terms of the playoff race to potentially make some noise. I'm probably not giving up, unless it's like Kayvon Thibodeau or somebody towards the higher end. I'm probably not giving up anything higher than a second or third round pick.
Yeah,
totally not giving up a first round pick.
Totally.
But yeah, there are moves you can make for sure. I'd be interested to know what the market is and if the market's going to be inflated. If there are a bunch of teams in the markets for Pat, like, do the Cowboys do the Cowboys feel aggressive to the point where they're willing to overpay for whoever's out there after losing Micah Parsons and still being sort of in this playoff race, right? Like, are there teams like that might make it so the 49ers would have to overpay if they were going to get a meaningful upgrade? And that's a really difficult thing. Like, I think realistically, the 49ers aren't winning the Super Bowl this year, right?
Yeah,
so
probably.
And realistically, they're not getting to the Super Bowl.
No, totally. I agree.
So
go ahead. Finish your point.
It's a difficult balance to be like, all right, let's trade a second and a third round pick to get Kayvon Thibodeau when, like, is that dude getting to the Super Bowl for you? And if and when you have a better shot at contending next year, if you're healthier next year, are you better having used a third and fourth round pick on guys like who could potentially be starting level players for you? Like we talked about how the 49ers missed out on some potential starters because they whiffed so badly on the Trey Lance trade and dealing away 2 extra first round picks, right? Like, so I think it's a difficult balance for them because if you can make a meaningful upgrade with a 5th, 6th, 7th round pick or combination or package, including those things, like cool, go for it. Where it gets tricky for me is like, all right, you can get this guy for a 2nd and a 3rd, but ultimately I don't know that player you get is going to change the trajectory of your season. So would you be better off just keeping the picks?
That is the thing that went off the table for me today.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm talking if it's in the 2026 draft, that shit has to be late round. If you're giving up a 4th rounder, 2027. Like that's where I'm at. I would like you to bring that chat back up from Benali. You take big trades off the table for this team every time they lose and bring them back when they win. It's clear this team was never a big trade away. Totally. But I think if you were I don't disagree.
The injuries, I think.
No, sure. But even after the injuries, like they beat the Falcons 20-10 and everybody went, oh man, big trade. And if they'd gone into Houston and won and then gone to New York and won again, it would have been really tough to justify like, well, no, hang on, need those picks. You don't, because like all of a sudden you're 7-2. Like, all right, well, you can kind of talk yourself into it. This was it, but again, that was a very specific instance where it's like, man, they just keep winning games, and it's really clear that, hey, you know what, they found some kind of formula that's working. And okay, the formula, they ran out. Like, so all those big trades are off the table for me. I don't care if they win 45-0 next week. Do not trade a 1st. Do not trade a 2nd. Do not trade a 3rd. Like the future is just too important to what they're trying to kind of build. Like they're in basically year 1 of whatever this retooling is, right? But on the other hand, when it comes to smaller trades, and the reason I think it's necessary is because you have 31-year-old George Kittle. You have 29-year-old Christian McCaffrey. You have 31-year-old Kyle Juszczyk, 32. You have a Kyle Juszczyk who's approaching his mid-30s. Like it's Trent Williams who's 75. Like you at some point at least have to give the impression that you're trying to do something to upgrade. Not to win the Super Bowl necessarily, but just to say, hey, we're going to try and make the postseason and see what happens. Instead of just going, oh, man, we're not going to stop anybody with this pass rush. Nope, too bad. Hope the offense can score 40. Like that sucks to me. And so I think if I've said the name Charles Omenihu a million times, if that type of trade is out there, I think you have to do it. You were saying meaningful upgrade. I think any upgrade at this point is meaningful because that is just such a putrid defensive line. They are so fucking bad that any player who can on a 3rd and 11 affect the pocket a little is a meaningful upgrade. So I'm with you totally. It's if you call on Kayvon Thibodeau and the Giants say, yeah, a 5th round pick will get it done, tight. Get him in the building and see if he's a player that you can sign long term and see if you can make him part of your core. If you call the Giants and they go, yeah, we're it starts at a 3rd round pick, well then, all right, I'm out. Don't need it. Like, all right, like that's where I think that's just off the table to me now because it's just abundantly clear. Like, okay, these dudes aren't going to perform way over their heads for the rest of the year, where a big time trade puts them over the top. A big time trade now is just kind of a waste to me.
Thinking about Thoughts? The Giants, and yeah, I'm with you, but one name that just popped in my head thinking about the Giants next week, and I just pulled up his contract, and there's an out after this season, which could give you potential flexibility to re-sign him, maybe on a cheaper number, or even just move on from him if it doesn't work. Which potentially wouldn't cost a ton. Dexter Lawrence, not an edge guy, but would you feel a lot better about the defensive line if they just inserted like one of the best defensive tackles in the league in that spot? And would that be worth
For sure.
Would that be worth the Trent Williams package? Would you do Dexter Lawrence for a future third and a future fifth?
How old is Dexter? Oh my God, Dexter Lawrence is only 27. I thought Dexter Lawrence was like 35. Yeah, if it's a future third and a future fifth, I would get Dexter Lawrence in the building for sure. But that to me comes with the idea that you're going to pay him beyond this year, because Dexter Lawrence is one of the best defensive tackles in the sport. And if you're adding him to your team, you're not just doing so for this year, just for the hell of it to see if it works. Like I think it'd be a pretty significant upgrade. And at that point, like, all right, you're gonna pay him to continue being on your team as a 28-year-old moving forward.
So he's under contract for the 49ers, if they kept the contract as it exists, if they traded for Dexter Lawrence, $18.5 million for 2026 in base salary, $15.5 million in 2027. If you just kept it as it is,
that's easy work for me. Like, that's such easy work for me.
That's kind of where I'm at too. So like, maybe there's something a little bit more creative like that, where it's like, all right, you can get an edge defender, but like now you'll be better at stopping the run, and maybe it can uplift the defense so where like you don't have to worry about CJ West not being active, being a healthy scratch on game days. Particularly like if Jordan Elliott's out for the year or whatever, right? We haven't even
fingers crossed he's not.
Yeah, the specific injuries, but like if you lose Jordan Elliott, then it feels like, well, maybe you do need to add a defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway,
the popular name on 49ers, the popular name on 49ers Twitter today is Quinnen Williams, and I adore the idea that Quinnen Williams and Mac Jones just both wound up in 49ers uniforms. Like, sure, man. Like, what if defensive tackle, defensive end? Like, it doesn't matter. That front is not good enough right now. And Gross Matos coming back will be helpful. Bryce Huff coming back will be helpful, but I don't think either of those players get back into the lineup and all of a sudden you're like, all right, now the Niners are cooking with gas again. Like, they need some kind of depth on the interior, on the edge, both. Maybe a Khalil Davis is out there, you know?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Quinnen Williams would be a very interesting name. They loved him in that draft. When they took Nick Bosa in 2019, they loved Quinnen Williams.
We had meaningful conversations on this podcast about Quinnen Williams.
Yeah. And he's a great player. And we know Robert Saleh knows it. Like,
I love assigning our own conversations as meaningful.
No, but like there was legitimate interest. Like the 49ers were legitimately interested. If Nick Bosa wasn't available, they might have taken Quinnen Williams.
Right.
So,
right, because that was the whole thing. Nick Bosa, all the way up through that process, was going to go 1, and Quinnen Williams is going to be there at 2, and then all of a sudden, Kyler Murray, like right after the combine, was just like, oh yeah, the Cardinals are taking Kyler Murray. It's like,
it was at the combine. I was there when it was the
jealous.
story. It was the story of the week. Yeah, Indianapolis in February, beautiful. But when Kyler Murray measured in at like 5'10", and the big question was like, is he 5'8"? And it was like, Kyler Murray's 5'10", just rubber stamp him as the number 1 pick. I was like, this is kind of wild, but I guess it really benefits the 49ers, who are getting the pass rusher they desperately need at number 2 overall.
I will never forget how fast that turned from Nick Bosa as the number 1 pick. Draft starts at 2. Niners love Quinnen Williams. Okay, now the draft starts at 3.
Mm-hmm.
It was like overnight. Like, oh, okay, draft starts at 3 because Kyler Murray is going 1 and Nick Bosa is going to go 2. It was like, what? Like every mock draft.
The combine.
Every
Kyler
mock
Murray
draft.
5'10". Kyler Murray being 5'10" was the story of the combine. It was like, oh, well, now you can take him 1 overall.
Just a prominent buzzing sound in the lobby after that.
I remember recording the podcast with you from the hotel I won't name in Indianapolis.
God, I hate it when you brag.
It was so fancy, dude. It had a refrigerator. It's the only hint I'll give. But yeah, I remember doing that podcast. It's like, man, Kyler Murray measured in at 5'10", and now everybody thinks he's the first pick of the draft. It's like, this is nuts.
That's so crazy.
This is insane. But, whatever. What do we know?
A lot of sliding doors moments.
A lot.
But yeah, any upgrade they can make, and this is the assessment I think the 49ers are doing, is they aren't just going to upgrade for this year. It has to be for 2026 and beyond. And so if you're trading for Dexter Lawrence, that means they've identified Dexter Lawrence as part of their core moving forward. Or Quinnen Williams, whoever it is. Like, if they're going to make that kind of trade, and it's a future third and a future fifth, like, yeah, stamp that. Like, let's go. Like, just rack that up. But if it's, Arden Key and who's the cat in New York?
Michael Clemens.
Michael Clemens, yeah. If those are the two trades you're making, cool. Clemens for a future late round pick swap, and send out a conditional sixth for Arden Key and call it good. I don't even know what picks they have, but that's the level of deal I'm expecting them to make.
Yeah.
Just to add, like I said, not even with just to add, like, bring them back up to par, like, because it feels like they've kind of fallen through their basement.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, too, just the last thing I want to mention.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
I have one more thing too.
Well, this sentiment kind of grows more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Mac, there's never going to be a quarterback controversy with Mac Jones.
Yes. Correct.
Right.
Correct.
We're beyond that being like a thought. Like, Mac Jones is a very capable, competent backup quarterback. He might be one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league. It's ideal what he's done to this point to win you games without Brock Purdy. But as time goes on, it's becoming increasingly clear to me that Mac Jones is not a starting caliber quarterback that can consistently win you enough games to get the playoffs or be a threat in the playoffs, particularly against good defenses. He can help you tread water in the meantime, but Mac Jones is not the rising tide that lifts all boats. Mac Jones is a perfectly serviceable backup quarterback in Kyle Shanahan's offense, and that's, it's been a great development for the 49ers, the fact that they've been able to win games with Mac Jones. But if you can get Brock Purdy healthy, he is so much better than Mac Jones that I think we can finally put to bed the quarterback controversy discussion at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you from the 49ers perspective. That said, I think the controversy about Mac Jones moving forward is going to be this offseason. Do the 49ers trade him? Or do they look at and go, all right, Brock Purdy's been hurt. I think literally every year he's been a starter, he's gotten hurt. He didn't get hurt in 23. Right?
No.
I don't think he missed any games in 23. But 22 got hurt. 24 got hurt. 25 got hurt. I think that the backup quarterback position is just so important that unless some team is going to shell out a first or second round pick for Mac Jones, I just don't think you can let him go. That's a question for the offseason. That's a question for what does the trade market look like, and we can have that discussion later. But from a who's going to start for the 49ers standpoint, the second that Brock Purdy is cleared and healthy, and hey, if he steps wrong on the sideline, it's not going to re-aggravate his toe, he's going to start. And he's going to be the starter. He could throw 5 interceptions in his first game back. He's going to be the starter. Like, it's just kind of what it is.
You pay him like you give him that leeway. I'm also just keeping my eye on Kirk Cousins and like.
Oh, don't. He is cheeks.
Well, sure. I don't know. I'm just like, if you can get anything for your backup quarterback, and then maybe Curtis Rourke is the next capable backup. That Kyle Shanahan develops, right?
You know what? Like, I forgot about Curtis Rourke. That's my bad. Let's see. Kirk Cousins today against the vaunted Miami Dolphins defense. 21 of 31
right.
for a
start
for $1.73.
Yeah, not in rhythm though. Like, he just let him get his legs under him.
We'll talk more about the Giants as the week goes on, but I think it's worth noting that Sacramento State legend Cameron Scadaboo suffered a Fred Warner-esque injury today as a dislocated ankle. He's being kept at the hospital for further evaluation. He certainly won't play next week and is unlikely to return this season. So, one of the Giants' most dangerous offensive players is done for the year as they go in to face Jackson Dart and company on Sunday. And I saw somebody bring this up in the chat. Where was it? I think it was Kim mentioned that Mac will play next week on the turf and in the rain. Is it supposed to rain in MetLife? Oof. But either way, I'm so serious. I would not bring Purdy back on that field. Like, I know that sounds dramatic, and this becomes a little bit more important game now that they're 5-3. But man, if he's a misstep away from being back at square one or needing surgery and ending his season, I would way rather him not come back on MetLife turf.
I'm with you. If he can be 100% and you don't have to worry about him aggravating the injury, then sure. But if not playing him ensures that you have a better chance of that for the rest of the season, then yeah, I'm with you. And you should be able to go beat the 2-6 Giants with Mac Jones as your starting quarterback.
And if you can't, well...
And if you can't, then you can't. And like the good vibes we saw from early in the season when which game was it? Was it after the Rams game where we were like, all right, we're kind of like, that's great and everything, but the sustainability of this, like, it feels a little bit fragile.
Yeah. It was like, what's their winning formula? Like, they're just kind of stumbling to wins right now.
Right. Like this is kind of what we mean when we say the sustainability might not necessarily be there to keep winning games while being one of the most injured teams in the NFL.
Right.
But yeah, like all that being said, if there's any risk with Purdy, I'm certainly not playing him on MetLife Field and risking that injury even more so on that grass and then the long flight and all that stuff. Like, I just sit him for one more week and then you get all those games in a row on grass and maybe you can get him back. Kyle Shanahan did say on Friday Brandon Ayuk might resume practicing this week. So there's that.
Yeah.
That would
this
be big.
team, and this is kind of what we've been saying is, can you get to what's our bye week? Week 14? Jesus.
It's late.
Can you
Early
get
December?
to the bye week? Let me see here. Hang on. I want to make sure that's right. Yeah, week 14. Can you get to the bye week at 9-5? And you have Brock Purdy back with a week to rest. You have Ricky Pearsall hopefully back by that point with a week off. You hopefully have Brandon Ayuk back by week 10 or 11. It sounds like maybe where they're circling. Can you just get healthy going into the bye week? You get that week off. You go in with 8 or 9 wins with 4 games left, and you need to win 2 or 3 of them to secure your playoff spot. Like, that should be, to me, that's kind of the path back to the postseason. And I think it's very much open. I don't think anything crazy needs to happen outside of A, they need to get healthy, and B, they need to stop having players go down in the middle of games. And if they do that,
I don't know how much they can control that, unfortunately.
It's just, dude, it was insane today. Like, I know that like a Jordan Elliott injury is not a needle mover on like a national scale, the way a Fred Warner and Nick Bosa injury is.
Well, it would be if they traded for Quinnen Williams or Dexter Lawrence.
Well, sure. But like Jordan Elliott going down is a huge deal. D. Winters going down is a huge deal. Like, these are like, this is where they're at on their roster and on their depth chart is these players that people go, oh, you can survive that injury. Like, they can't, not anymore.
Yeah.
Oof.
I mean, when you have injuries, it's like, all right, when you lose Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, it's like, all right, all these other dudes need to step up. And we saw them step up to a certain extent against Atlanta. And it's like, oh, that's really encouraging. But what those injuries do is make it so you have no more margin for error when it comes to injuries.
Right.
It's like, okay, you can absorb those injuries because you have backups. But when the backups get injured, then you're playing a preseason-ass defense. And that's just not going to work.
Yep.
So I will say, like, I think in an ideal world, if you sit Brock against the Giants, in ideal world, you get him back for the Rams game November 9th. That's looking like a potentially huge game.
Ayuk?
Brock Purdy.
Oh, okay.
And Ayuk.
I don't think.
Like, do you look at Brandon Ayuk for November 9th?
Oh, November 9th. I thought you said week 9. I'm sorry. Sorry. I missed that entirely. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, next week's week 9.
Right. That's why I was like, I'm sorry, what?
If you can just work to get all of your guys back for that November 9th game, week 10 against the Rams, You have at Arizona the next week, Carolina at home, at Cleveland, then the bye. Like what you were talking about, getting to 9-5 before the bye. Like if you can get your guys back by week 10, I feel like you could potentially get there.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm with you. I think 11-6 gets you to the playoffs. They're 5-3. You got to go 6-3 down the stretch with hopefully getting healthy. Winnable games against Tennessee, Chicago, Carolina, Cleveland, Arizona, New York. Like it's there for them.
Niners went from the 2 seed to the 7th seed today.
Oy.
And the entire NFC West is on its bye except for San Francisco.
Correct. Which feels like a lot of bullshit, but whatever.
Yeah, so the Niners are behind Seattle.
Right, you guys all get a mid-season bye. 49ers, enjoy week 14, old asses.
I mean, I don't hate it for them from the standpoint of thinking about the playoffs. I would take a bye closer to the playoffs if you could get it, because there's only, I mean, we can.
Sure.
We don't need to have this conversation.
Yeah, I'd be so bored.
No, I just want to say it's insane that only one team in each conference gets a bye. You extend the regular season schedule to 17 games. Only one team in each conference gets a bye. That's patently insane to me. I thought the previous 6-team format was perfect. 2 teams get byes. I know the NFL loves having more games and whatever, growing the pot. Well, it's stupid. It sucks.
Yep.
Anyway,
week 14 bye is so crazy. Yeah, I would agree with our guy Kawachipto. Salute to Kawachipto for being in the chat every week too. Week 14 bye is nuts.
It is.
That's so late.
All right, I got to run to Kings Lakers.
No Luka for the Lake Show.
No Luka. I get to revel in that 49ers performance by watching the Sacramento Kings play basketball. Not to
I think they're gonna win tonight.
I mean, they better. They barely
no Luka.
They barely beat the Jazz.
Yeah, that's a good Jazz team though. I'm a big Keyshawn George guy.
I know. That is a good Jazz. Like that's a bet, but you should mop the floor with the Jazz at home, and they barely beat the Jazz. I was there for the Jazz to win.
Domantas Sabonis on the road for a Clutch Player of the Year award.
I mean, among all the candidates, he's I'm not even going to say he's one of them. Among the candidates, he's a name that somebody could potentially mention. Anyway,
fired up for a lot of Gabe Vincent minutes tonight.
I like Gabe Vincent.
Okay.
Underrated player.
Okay.
Been hurt.
Sure.
Been hurt.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of Austin Reeves. I'm taking Austin Reeves more on Prize Picks real quick.
Yeah, do that. Play all of your Austin Reeves.
Oh, dude.
Plays on Prize Picks.
Going to sprinkle some on Austin Reeves.
Shout out to Lamb Chops. Shout out to Prize Picks. Shout out to Cooperage Brewing. Go to Cooperage, either of their 2 locations in Santa Rosa. Both of them are great. They have the Candlestick Chronicles Hazy IPA. Make sure you get that. It is delicious. Drink away your sorrows, or just enjoy some
good beer.
Delicious beverage. And we'll talk to you guys later in the week. Niners are 5-3. Still not the worst spot in the world, but we'll talk more about that. When? Tuesday? Monday?
Tuesday, typically.
I don't know. There's probably going to be some injury we don't know about tomorrow that we'll have to.
We'll do something.
We'll see. All right. Talk to you guys later. See ya.